The mountain was cold enough to kill in minutes, but the alien mother stayed inside a broken hut made of old wood and cracked stone. Her name was Lyra, a small thin woman with soft blue skin and dark tired eyes. She sat on the floor, holding her weak baby close to her chest. The baby boy Maru was only a few weeks old. His breaths were slow and quiet, like the last flicker of a dying candle dot outside. A strong blizzard screamed against the walls. Snow hit the roof like sharp stones. The wind kept pushing the old hut, shaking it again and again. Lyra knew the storm wanted to take everything. It wanted to take her baby too. But she refused to move. She refused to leave him. Hours earlier, her tribe had left the mountain. They were running away from the storm. But Lyra knew her baby was too weak to survive the long walk. If she left with them, he would die on the road. If she stayed behind, he might die in her arms. She chose to stay. She chose to be with him for his last moments. Her hands were shaking, but she kept her baby warm under her fur shawl. His skin felt cold, too cold. She touched his small face and felt her heart break. She lifted him gently and began to sing. Her voice was soft and weak. It trembled with pain. She sang the last song, a song from her people that mothers sang when a soul was about to leave the world. The song was old, sad, and beautiful. It told the story of a small star returning to the sky after its time on the ground was finished. Lyra's tears froze on her cheeks. She brushed a thumb across her baby's forehead. "Maru, my sweet boy, I am here," she whispered softly. "I will not leave you, not even for 1 second." The storm outside grew louder, angrier. Snow pushed through the small cracks in the wall. The baby's breath became shallower. Lyra felt fear rise inside her chest like a tight knot. She pulled him closer and continued singing with a broken voice. "Sleep, my star. Shine again in the sky." Her voice cracked. She swallowed, trying to stay strong, but her body shook with grief. She kissed the top of her baby's head. His little fingers did not move. His eyes were half closed. He was falling deeper and deeper into silence. Lyra hugged him tighter. "Please, please stay with me," she whispered. "Just one more breath." But she knew the truth. She felt it in her bones. This was the last song he would ever hear. The storm was so loud that nothing could enter the hut. No light, no sound, nothing except cold and darkness. Lyra believed she was alone on the mountain. No one should be outside in this weather. Not even a strong warrior could survive it. That was why she froze when she heard something she never expected. Footsteps, soft at first, then louder, slow, heavy, coming closer. Her breath caught in her throat. The hair on her neck stood up. She turned her head toward the door, eyes wide with fear. "No, no one can be out there," she whispered. The footsteps stopped right outside the door. For a long moment, everything was silent except the storm's roar. Then bang, the door shook. Lyra gasped and held her baby tightly, ready to shield him with her own body. She moved back, pressing her back against the wall, her heart beating so fast she felt dizzy. Who was outside? A wild animal? A frost beast? Death itself? She slowly reached for a broken wooden stick beside her, the only thing she could use as a weapon. She held it with shaking hands. The door pushed open again. Crack! Snow poured inside. Wind pushed into the room like a furious spirit. Lyra covered her baby's face with her shawl, protecting him from the ice. She waited for something to attack, but what stepped inside was not a beast, not a monster, not a member of her tribe. It was something she had heard only in stories. A human. Tall, covered in heavy gear, face half hidden behind a frozen mask. His body shook from cold. His eyes were tired but warm. He carried something glowing in his hands, a small bright device wrapped in cloth. Lyra's heart almost stopped. Why would a human be on this dead mountain? How did he survive the blizzard? What did he want? The human breathed hard, steam rising from his mouth. He looked at her, then at the baby in her arms. Slowly, carefully, he took one step forward. "Please," he said in a low, gentle voice, "let me help your baby." Lyra did not move. Her breath froze in her chest as she stared at the strange human standing in the doorway. Snow fell off his shoulders and melted on the ground. His clothes were torn, burned in some places, and covered in icy frost. The glowing device in his hands gave off a soft, warm light, filling the broken hut with a gentle orange color. He did not rush toward her. He lifted both hands slowly, showing he had no weapon. "My name is Marek," he said softly. His voice was deep, tired, but calm. "I'm here to help." Lyra tightened her hold on her baby, as if anyone touching him would shatter him like thin glass. "Humans don't come to our mountains," she said in a weak voice. "I know," Marek replied. "The storm dragged my ship into the ridge. I crashed. I walked for hours. Then I heard you singing." Lyra blinked. "Through the storm? No one can hear anything through this blizzard," she whispered. Marek nodded slowly. "I shouldn't have been able to. But your voice reached me somehow." He kneeled down carefully, keeping distance. The glowing device in his hands brightened. "This is a thermal infant capsule," he explained gently. "It can warm your baby, regulate breathing, stabilize his heart." Lyra frowned. "Will it save him?" Marek did not lie. He looked at the weak baby, then met her eyes. "I don't know. But without it, he has minutes." Lyra felt her heart twist painfully. She looked at her child. His small chest barely moved. His lips were turning pale. She felt darkness closing in around her. Then Marek extended the capsule forward. "Please," he said softly. "Let me try." Lyra hesitated. This was her child, her last memory, her last hope. If she handed him over to this human, and the human made one mistake, the baby would die in seconds. She studied Marek's face. A long scar ran across his cheek. His eyes were red from wind and cold. His lips were cracked. He looked like he had fought death for hours, but his eyes, they were warm, honest, not greedy, not cruel. They reminded her of someone who carried heavy pain but still chose kindness. She slowly moved forward, keeping her baby wrapped tightly. If he stops breathing," she whispered, voice shaking, "I will never forgive you." Marek nodded firmly. "I understand." With trembling hands, Lyra gently placed her baby inside the soft, glowing capsule. The device hummed, adjusting temperature. Small blue lights scanned the tiny body. The baby twitched slightly, then the capsule warmed. A soft, gentle heat spread around the child. The baby took a deeper breath. Not strong but deeper than before. Lyra's eyes widened, tears filling them instantly. She leaned close. "Maro, Maro." The baby's small hand moved weakly. Marek smiled softly. "His body is responding. That's good." Lyra covered her mouth, trying not to sob too loudly. For the first time since morning, she felt a spark of hope inside her frozen chest. Marek checked the device again, adjusting something. His hands were professional, steady. "You sing very beautifully," he said quietly. Lyra looked at him with surprise. "I wasn't singing for beauty," she whispered. "It was his farewell song." Marek looked down, sadness touching his face. "Then your song saved both of us," Lyra frowned. "What do you mean?" Marek leaned back against the wall, breathing heavily. "My rescue team. We tried to cross the mountain. The storm hit us hard." He closed his eyes for a moment. "I'm the only one left." Lyra's heart softened just a little. "You lost your people too?" Marek nodded once. "Everyone." For a moment, the broken hut felt even quieter. Two lives falling apart in the same place. Two strangers trapped by the same storm. Then something outside howled. A deep, frightening sound. Not wind, not snow. Something alive. Lyra jumped slightly. Blizzard beasts, she whispered. The storm brings them down from the peaks. Marek frowned, listening. Are they dangerous? Lyra stared at him with disbelief. They can freeze a full warrior in seconds. Their claws cut through stone. Marek tightened his gloves. Then we need to move soon. Lyra panicked. Move? In this storm? With my baby? Marek looked at the glowing capsule. He will survive for now, but this place won't. He pointed at the creaking roof. The storm is breaking the structure. And those beasts, they're already close. Lyra swallowed hard. Fear crawled up her throat. Then where do we go? She whispered. Marek took a deep breath and stood up slowly. There's a rescue beacon site 2 kilometers from here, he said. If we reach it, a ship might find us. Lyra looked at her baby, then at the human. And she realized she had no other choice. Tell me what to do, she said quietly. Marek nodded. Stay close. Don't look back, and hold on to hope. He picked up the capsule carefully, as if it was the most precious thing he had ever carried. The storm outside screamed like a living creature, shaking the broken hut again and again. Snow pushed through every crack. The wind roared like a giant waking from its sleep. Lyra stood frozen in fear, watching Marek gently lift the glowing infant capsule. The orange light covered his tired face, and for a moment, he looked like a guardian spirit instead of a stranger. But guardian or not, they were trapped in a storm that killed everything. Lyra swallowed hard. If we go outside, the wind will tear us apart, she whispered. Marek adjusted the straps on his suit. If we stay here, the roof will fall first. The snow is piling on top. The beams can't hold. As if agreeing with him, the ceiling made a loud cracking sound. Lyra flinched. She stepped closer to him instinctively. Marek tapped the capsule, making sure the baby was stable. His breathing is better. Heart rate is slow but improving. Lyra felt a small sigh escape her lips. She didn't even notice she had been holding her breath. How did you even reach this mountain? She asked, still confused. Marek looked at her for a long moment before answering. My team. We were sent to map this region, he began quietly. There have been strange energy spikes from the peaks. The storm wasn't supposed to be this strong. Lyra frowned. Energy spikes? Marek nodded. Something powerful is inside this mountain. Something that affects weather, and maybe more. Lyra had never heard such a thing. My people avoid this place. They say the mountain is cursed. They say it eats souls. Marek let out a weak smile. Humans don't believe in soul eating. Mountains. Another loud howl cut through the wind. Lyra shivered. But do you believe in blizzard beasts? Marek sighed. Unfortunately, yes. He turned toward the broken door and looked out. Snow swirled violently, making everything white. Even the ground disappeared under waves of ice. Lyra stepped up beside him. How will you find your way? You can't even see your own hand. Marek pulled a small metal device from his coat and pressed a button. A thin blue line shot out, forming a faint path through the storm. A trail beacon, he explained. It follows the magnetic signal from the rescue site. As long as this works, we won't get lost. Lyra stared at the glowing path with a mix of fear and wonder. Her world was simple forest, tribe, hunting, shelter. But humans carried strange things. Things that felt like magic wrapped in metal. She looked at Marek again. His eyes were focused, determined. His body shook from cold and exhaustion, but he still stood strong. Why did you come toward my voice? She asked suddenly. You said you heard my song, but how? Marek hesitated. He looked down at the baby, then at her. I didn't just hear it, he said slowly. I felt it. Lyra blinked. Felt? Marek nodded. It felt like something calling me, pulling me closer. It didn't sound like a normal sound. It felt like light. Lyra stared. My song? Yes, Marek whispered. It cut through the storm. Almost like the storm wanted me to find you. Lyra's heart began to race. Storms don't help people. Marek looked outside the hut again. This one does something strange. It twists sound. It bends light. It moves like it's alive. Lyra stepped back. Alive? They warned. You wished before we came, Marek admitted. They said this mountain reacts to emotion, fear, pain, hope, love. Lyra felt chills crawl up her arms, but not from the cold. A living mountain. Marek shook his head. Not living. But something inside it is. Something old. Something powerful. Something that doesn't want to be alone. Lyra held her baby protectively. What does that mean? Marek didn't answer. His eyes remained on the blizzard as if he was searching for something. Then, a flash of blue lightning struck the peak. Lyra gasped. The mountain's heart. Marek's eyes widened. It reacted. To what? Another flash. This time louder, stronger, closer. To us, Marek whispered. Lyra felt her knees weaken. Why? Marek finally turned toward her, his face serious. Because your song didn't just reach me, he said. It reached the storm. Lyra's breath stopped. What does it want from us? Marek looked at her baby. Not from us, he said softly. From him. Before Lyra could speak, the storm outside roared so loud the hut shook violently. Something huge moved through the blizzard-heavy steps on the snow, like a giant creature circling their shelter. Lyra grabbed Marek's arm. They're here, the beasts. Marek grabbed his flare and shield emitter. Then we move now. But the storm, the mountain wants us to move, Marek said firmly. And trust me, when a storm calls, standing still is the most dangerous choice. He lifted the infant capsule close to his chest. The baby stirred softly. The glowing light flickered, and with fear, hope, and a strange new mystery surrounding them, they stepped into the blizzard together. The cold hit Lyra like a physical blow the moment she stepped outside. The wind screamed in her ears, so loud it felt like thousands of voices crying out at once. Snow slapped her face like icy knives. For a heartbeat she could not breathe. She had lived her whole life in cold weather, but this storm, this was not nature, it was something else. Something angry. Marek stepped ahead of her, holding the glowing infant capsule close to his chest, trying to shield it with his body. His back looked broad and steady, even though his step shook slightly. Lyra followed him closely, her hands gripping the straps of his coat so she wouldn't lose him in the blinding white. The beacon trail blinked faintly in front of them, a thin blue line dancing through the swirling snow. Without it, they would vanish into the storm like dust. Marek, Lyra shouted. Her voice barely reached him. Is the device working? It's holding for now. He yelled back. Snow covered his eyebrows and eyelashes like white frost. Loud howl echoed from somewhere deep inside the storm. Lyra stiffened. They're following us. Just keep moving. Marek ordered. Every step felt like lifting her legs through deep mud. The snow reached above her knees. The wind pushed hard, throwing her sideways again and again. Twice she almost fell, but Marek caught her arm each time without even turning around. The storm grew stronger, as if it sensed their fear. Huge shadow crawled across the snow to their left, a large creature with long limbs and glowing, icy eyes. Lyra gasped. Marek! She screamed, pointing. I see it, he said. The creature let out a low growl, its breath freezing in the air like smoke. Another shape appeared behind it, and another. Blizzard beasts, giant ice predators that hunted. By sound and movement, 3 of them circled the humans slowly like wolves stalking prey. Lyra trembled hard. We cannot fight them. We don't need to, Marek muttered. We just need to stay alive long enough to reach the beacon site. But the beasts were coming closer. Marek pulled out a flare from his belt and lit it. A bright red light burst into the wind, creating a burning circle around them. The beast stepped back, snarling. Lyra stared at him. "Fire magic," she whispered. That's what her people called human technology. Marek didn't smile. "This will only hold them for seconds." "Run!" Lyra's heart pounded painfully. Her legs burned with cold. But she followed him, pushing through the thick snow. The beasts growled angrily behind them, then roared as the flare died out. The sound shook the air. Lyra looked back. The beasts leaped forward. "Marek!" she screamed. He spun around instantly and raised his broken shield emitter. A weak bubble of light flickered around them. The first beast crashed into it and slid back, howling in anger. The shield sparked violently, almost breaking. "Go!" Marek shouted. "I'll keep them busy." "No!" Lyra cried, grabbing his coat. "You cannot stay. I cannot carry the baby alone." Marek looked into her eyes. Snow blew across his face like sharp white dust. For a moment, the storm seemed to pause. "You won't have to," he said softly. He lifted the capsule and handed it to her. The glowing warmth filled her arms. "He needs his mother now." Lyra shook her head, tears freezing at the corners of her eyes. "And you?" "I need to buy you time," he whispered. Another beast crashed into the shield. Marek gritted his teeth. He fired a pulse round at the ground, creating a loud shock that echoed through the storm. The beasts backed off, confused by the sudden sound. "You saved him," Lyra said, voice breaking. "Why do humans risk their lives for strangers?" Marek gave a faint smile. "Because no one is a stranger when a baby's life is in danger." Then the shield shattered with a loud crack. The beasts lunged. Marek grabbed Lyra's wrist. "Run!" They ran. The wind howled behind them. Claws tore through snow. The earth shook with every leap of the beasts. Lyra's breath burned her throat. Her legs screamed in pain, but she held the capsule tight against her chest. She would die before she let it fall. A cliff came into view, a steep slope covered in ice. At its top, a dim gold light flashed. The beacon. Marek yelled. Hope flared in Lyra's heart. They forced their bodies forward, climbing the slope with shaking hands. One beast lunged. Jaws open. Marek turned suddenly, grabbed a sharp rock, and struck it across the beast's face. It roared, falling back into the snow. "Go!" he shouted. Again, pushing her upward. Lyra climbed, digging her claws into the ice, dragging her freezing body inch by inch. A moment later, Marek climbed beside her. Both were gasping, shaking, half-frozen. Together, they reached the top. The golden beacon light glowed softly, standing like a lonely tower in the storm. Lyra fell to her knees, hugging the capsule. The baby made a small noise, a weak but real cry. Marek collapsed beside her. We made it." But the storm did not calm. The light flickered, and far below them, the beasts began climbing the slope. The golden beacon tower flickered weakly in the storm, its light fighting to stay alive, just like the three souls crouched beneath it. Snow slapped against Lyra's face so hard she felt her skin sting. She held the glowing infant capsule close to her chest, shielding it with her body. The baby made a soft sound, a tiny cry that felt like the only warm thing left on the mountain. Marek knelt beside her, breathing heavily. Frost covered his hair and eyebrows like white dust. His hands shook from cold, exhaustion, and pain. "The beacon is failing," he said through chattering teeth. "But it should still give a signal." Lyra looked at him with fearful eyes. "Will help come?" "Yes," Marek answered, but his voice wasn't confident. "Maybe, if the storm hasn't swallowed the waves." The wind howled like 100 angry spirits. Then they heard it. A deep, sharp roar rolling through the snow like thunder. Lyra's Heart froze. "They're here," she whispered. Marek stood, using the beacon tower for balance. He squinted through the blizzard. "Stay behind me." Down the steep slope, 3 massive shadows crawled upward. Blizzard beasts, huge, silver-furred predators with ice crystal armor growing across their backs. Their eyes glowed the same blue as the storm. Their claws dug into the frozen rock effortlessly. Lyra trembled. She had grown up hearing stories about them. Beasts that hunted storms. Monsters that listened to the mountain's anger, and tonight, the mountain was furious. Marek grabbed his last flare and lit it. Red fire burst into the white darkness. The beasts roared and slowed, but did not stop this time. "They're not scared anymore," Lyra whispered. "They're desperate," Marek said. "The storm controls them. It wants the baby." Lyra hugged the capsule tight, fear choking her. "Why my baby? He's only a newborn." Marek didn't answer. He didn't know the truth yet, but he knew the storm had reacted to the child in strange ways. Too strange. The first beast reached them and lunged. Marek swung a rock-hard piece of ice at its face. The beast crashed into the snow with a furious growl. Before Marek could grab another weapon, the second beast leaped from the side. Lyra screamed, "Marek!" He rolled out of the way, barely avoiding its claws. Snow exploded around him. The third beast circled behind Lyra. She gasped. "No, no," Marek saw it. "Move!" he shouted. Lyra tried to run, but the storm pushed her back. The beast opened its jaws, showing rows of icy teeth. The baby cried. The beast froze, its glowing blue eyes flickered. The storm wind slowed for just one breath. Marek's mind raced. "It's reacting to him," he whispered. "The storm, the beasts. They're connected to the baby somehow." The beast shook its head, confused, then roared again, louder, stronger, trying to break whatever force had stopped it. Marek grabbed Lyra's arm. "Run around the tower, stay behind it." She obeyed instantly, clutching her child and circling behind the beacon. Marek faced the beasts alone. The first one charged again. Marek grabbed the broken metal part of the beacon tower and swung it like a steel bar. The impact rang out, echoing through the wind. The beast staggered, but Marek lost his balance and fell to one knee. The second beast leaped onto him. Marek raised his arm just in time. Teeth sank into his thick jacket but didn't reach his skin. He gritted his teeth, pushing with all his strength. The weight was crushing him. "Let him go." Lyra cried. She picked up a sharp ice shard with her free hand and threw it. It hit. The beast sighed. It barely noticed, but it was enough for Marek to twist his body and shove it away. He stood, panting hard. Blood dripped from a small tear in his arm. His breath came out like white smoke. The third beast circled Lyra again. Marek's eyes widened. "No!" He ran, but the beast was faster. It lunged at Lyra. Claws out. The baby cried louder. A strong burst of light shot from the capsule. The beast was thrown back, sliding across the snow. The light was soft but powerful, like a star waking up. Snow spiraled upward in a strange dance. Lyra stared at her baby in shock. "Maru, what are you?" The storm roared, almost like it answered her. Marek reached her, eyes wide with disbelief. "The mountain, it isn't after him because he's weak. It's after him because he's something else. What does that mean?" She asked, trembling. "It means your baby might be the reason the storm is alive," Marek whispered. The beasts recovered and roared again, angrier than before. Marek stepped in front of Lyra, raising the metal bar with trembling hands. "This ends here," he said. The beasts charged. The storm screamed, and the baby's light began to glow again. The baby's soft glow pulsed brighter and brighter, spreading across the snow like a warm sunrise trying to fight a frozen night. The blizzard. Beasts slowed, snarling, confused by the strange light. The storm winds twisted around the beacon tower like spirals of white smoke, reacting to every pulse from the infant capsule. Lyra held her baby tight, trembling. Marek stood in front of her, gripping the metal bar with both hands. His arms shook from exhaustion, but his eyes stayed sharp. "Stay behind me," he said, lowering his stance. Lyra nodded, though fear made her legs weak. The baby's glow warmed her face, and she looked down into the capsule. Maru's tiny chest rose and fell, gently, for the first time that night. He didn't look as fragile. The beasts roared again, louder than before, shaking snow off the cliffside. Their icy armor glowed faintly blue, reacting to the storm's voice. Their long claws dug into the frozen ground as they prepared to strike. Marek whispered, "3 beasts. 1 human with no bullets left. This is bad math." Lyra swallowed. "You should go. Humans survive storms. My people survive storms, but Maru, he is the weakest." Marek glanced back at her sharply. "Don't say that. He's not weak. But he cannot walk, cannot speak. Maybe he doesn't need." Took quietly. "Maybe he has something else." The baby's glow pulsed again, and the storm paused. The snow froze midair for one breath, hanging like white stars. Lyra gasped. "Marek, what is happening?" He shook his head slowly. "I don't know, but he's changing the storm, like it's listening to him." "Why would a storm listen to a baby?" She whispered. Marek didn't answer, because the beasts roared and charged again. The first one leaped toward Marek, jaws wide. Marek swung the metal bar with every bit of strength left in his body. The impact rang like a bell. The beast spun and crashed into the snow. Marek stumbled, nearly falling. The second beast lunged at Lyra from the side. Lyra screamed, shielding the capsule with her arms. But the baby cried, a sharp, high sound. A pulse of golden light burst from the capsule. The beast froze, mid-leap, then slammed into the ground as if crushed by invisible weight. Lyra's eyes widened. "Maru!" The third beast snarled and attacked from behind. Marek threw himself in its path. Its claws cut through his coat, slicing into his arm. He cried out in pain but held his ground. The beast pushed him down, claws inches from his throat. "Marek!" Lyra screamed. He gritted his teeth and shoved the metal bar into the beast's jaws. Its icy breath covered his face, burning his skin like frostfire. Marek's vision blurred. He could barely move his arms. The beast pressed harder. He was losing. Lyra shook with terror. "No, please stop. Stop!" The baby heard her voice. He opened his eyes. 2 small golden lights glowed in the darkness. Suddenly lightning split the sky, connecting the storm clouds to the baby's capsule. A shockwave exploded across the cliff. The beast attacking Marek was thrown backward, sliding across the snow and crashing into a rock wall. The other beasts roared in pain as the light struck them too. The storm itself twisted violently, almost like it was crying. Marek lay on the ground, chest heaving, staring at the baby in disbelief. He connected to it. Lyra sank to her knees, holding the capsule close. "Maru, my child." The baby's glow dimmed gently, settling into a warm, soft light. His breathing was steady. His small hands moved peacefully. Marek pushed himself up with a trembling arm. Blood dripped from his wound. His face was pale, lips turning blue. Lyra moved quickly. "You're hurt. I live," he whispered. "But we need to leave before more beasts come." She shook her head, tears filling her eyes. "You saved him. Let me help you now." She took off her thick fur mantle and wrapped it around Marek's shoulders, pressing her warm body against his back to keep him from collapsing. Her people had a tradition. When someone fought to save your child, they became family. "You will not die here," she said fiercely. "I won't allow it." Marek's breath shook. "I'm not planning to." Above them, the beacon tower flickered one last time, then lit up completely, shining a bright beam into the sky. A distant rumble echoed above the storm. Marek's eyes widened. A ship. They saw it. Lyra gasped. They're coming? But before they could celebrate, a loud cracking noise came from behind them. The cliff shifted. The ground trembled. Lyra clutched her baby. Marek grabbed her arm. The storm wasn't done. Something huge, something ancient, awakened deep beneath the mountain. And it was coming toward them. The mountain rumbled beneath them like a giant waking from 1,000-year sleep. Snow shook loose from the cliffside and fell in thick sheets. Lyra pulled her baby close, shaking as the ground trembled again. Marek forced himself up, leaning weakly on the beacon tower, his face pale and covered in frost. What is happening? Lyra whispered, her voice barely a breath. Marek stared at the swirling storm above. Something inside the mountain is reacting to him, he said, pointing at the glowing infant capsule. And it's getting stronger. Low growl echoed through the blizzard, deeper and heavier than anything they had heard before. Not a beast, not wind. Something older. Something powerful. Lyra hugged Maru tighter. The stories were true, she whispered. The mountain has a heart. And the storm is its voice, Marek said. The baby opened his eyes. Soft golden. Light shined from them like two tiny suns. His cry rose into the air again, high, soft, but strangely commanding. The storm froze. The wind paused mid-dash, screamed. And for a moment, time itself felt like it held its breath. Do you feel that? Lyra whispered. Yes, Marek said softly. He's calming it. But the ground rumbled again, louder this time, shaking the cliff under their feet. Cracks formed in the ice. Snow slid down the slope like an avalanche waiting to fall. A huge shadow moved in the blizzard below them, something massive. Something with glowing blue eyes. Something ancient. Lyra's heart thudded painfully in her chest. That is no beast. No, Marek breathed. That's the mountain guardian. Legend spoke of it. A creature made of ice and storm. A spirit that protected the mountain during great danger. No one had ever seen it and survived to tell the truth. The shadow rose higher. A giant head appeared from the swirling snow, made of sharp ice and glowing cracks of blue light. Its body was shaped like a giant four-legged beast but moved like a living storm. Winds curled around it. Snow swirled through its chest as if it didn't have a real body at all. Lyra fell to her knees, shaking. It came for him. The guardian fixed its glowing eyes on the baby. Maru's golden light pulsed again, meeting the creature's blue glow. Marek stepped in front of Lyra, weak but determined. He raised his metal bar, even though he could barely stand. You want the child, Marek growled. You'll go through me. The guardian lowered its head slightly, like it was studying the human with interest. Then it roared. The sound shook the mountain. Lyra screamed and covered the baby. The capsule glowed brighter and brighter until its light cut through the storm, like a blade. The guardian stopped roaring. It took a slow step back. Marek blinked in shock. It's listening to him. Lyra stared at the baby with trembling hands. Maru, he is speaking to it. The baby reached out with a tiny hand toward the giant creature. The golden light wrapped around his small fingers like threads of warmth. The guardian lowered its head and bowed. Lyra gasped. Marek's mouth fell open. The storm around them finally began to break. The wind softened. Snow stopped falling. For the first time in hours, the clouds parted slightly. A distant sound reached them. A deep humming. Engines. Marek looked up with hope shining in his tired eyes. The rescue ship. They're close. A bright light in the sky cut through the thinning storm. A human rescue craft descended slowly, guided by the beacon's last pulse. Lyra felt tears fall down her cheeks, not frozen, but warm this time. Guardian backed away, its body dissolving back into snow and wind like it had never been real. The storm faded as if giving permission for the humans to take the baby and his mother away. The rescue ship landed with a loud thud. Medics rushed out, covered in heavy gear. When they saw Marek bleeding, freezing, barely standing, they ran to him immediately. But Marek pointed at Lyra. "Help her first." "And the baby?" Lyra's eyes widened. "But you and Maru come first," Marek whispered. The medics wrapped Lyra and the baby in thermal blankets. One checked Maru and almost froze in shock. "His vitals, they're stable, strong. He should be dead in this temperature. How?" Lyra smiled softly, tears shimmering. "He has a strong heart." More medics reached Marek and lifted him gently. He tried to stand on his own, but his legs finally gave out. Lyra reached for his hand quickly. Marek looked at her weakly. "We made it. You saved us," Lyra whispered. "You saved my child." When they carried him inside the warm rescue ship, Maru began to cry softly again. Not in pain, but in peace. Lyra leaned close to her son. "You are not weak," she whispered. "You are light, my little star." As the ship lifted off the mountain, the storm broke completely, showing a calm sky dot below them, the mountains. Snow shifted one last time, almost like it was bowing farewell. The tribe would later name the baby Maru the storm-touched, and the human who saved him would be remembered as the blizzard walker. But Lyra would remember something else forever. The night one brave human stepped through death itself to save her dying child, and turned a farewell song into a story of survival.